and thank you for joining me for day 6 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. Today's sketch you can see in the top left hand corner there is by Ruth Lewindon, another UK scrapper. So you can see that Ruth has got circles going around the edge of her photo. I've chosen to use strips instead of photos, you'll see as I build that into a circle. So once again I'm using my scraps and I'm documenting a photo from our trip to New York in December last year. And you can see there I've just used my pair of compasses to draw a semicircle about 8 inches tall, so that gives me a guide of where to put my paper strips. So I went through my scraps before I started filming and pulled out all of the bluey green tones that would go really nicely with this photo. It was a very misty, rainy morning the first day that we were there, and this photo captures it really well, so I wanted to sort of capture that in the colours that I'm using as well. So that dotty paper, that was the size that the scrap was, so it's perfect for adding down the side there. I can see on the film that there's a little gap at the top, but I'll probably just trim my card down ever so slightly there. It doesn't bother me if it's not exactly 12 by 12. And now I'm just cutting strips or using strips as they are, if I've got strips in my scraps, to build this circle. So I keep bringing the photo back in, as you'll see, to check that the gap in the middle is covered, and then I shall continue to add these strips to the circle and staggering them down as I go, just so that it creates that circular shape. I'm also distressing the edges with my fingernails. I really like the look that gives. Sometimes the Edge Distresser by Tim Holtz can tear the paper slightly rather than just ruffling it up, and I just wanted to break those bonds in the paper without actually tearing any bits off, so that's why I'm using my fingernails this time. So you can see just tearing the papers in half where necessary so that they bridge that gap, so to speak. So I've got enough to put at the top and bottom, and it still looks like it's a continual line. Once it's down, nobody would know. So just using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, as you can see, to get these glued down. It's easier than fiddling with my ATG sometimes. It's a 12mm tape that I use on there, and it can be a bit thick for some of these smaller pieces, so sometimes it's just easier. That said, the ATG tape is brilliant for using on layouts. You can roll it over the edge if it comes off the edge of the paper without too much difficulty, and it's wafer thin, which is what I really like about it, so it doesn't add any bulk at all when you're putting these pieces down. So almost there now. You can see I've just gone for the misty bluey green strips. I really like this blue just to bring in a different colour, and then I'll bring one more strip in at the end. I tore this piece in half and it really wasn't necessary. I think I just got in the rhythm of tearing my strips as I put them down. It's quite meditative doing something like this, really, when it's just continually doing the same thing. So you can see I just overlap this one because it's way too big. But I wasn't sure if it's going to peek out from behind the photo, so I thought it best leaving it so that it overlapped. So this is the last piece, and I really like these Pink Fresh scraps because they look like the skyscrapers, the way that they're very graphic in their design. So that's the last piece going down there, and that covers the circle up nicely and completes it for me. Oh no, there is one more, sorry, this one does. And it's hard. I can't tell whether it looks circular or whether it does just look like a row of strips, but I was happy with the end result. So this is one of our cut files at Hayleth Magpie by Amelia Creates, and it says Explore, and this was our first full day in New York, so I thought that would work really nicely. So I'm going to add some foam pads to the photo just to get that stuck down. And it raises it up a little bit, and then I can tuck things behind it. And I like adding that height to my pages, getting the different shadows that it casts on the page. And these are the Sticks to foam pads. If you've watched me for a while, you know I love these foam pads. They're 25mm foam pads on a roll, or 1 inch, I suppose we could say. So I'm pulling out my wherever bits from 49er Market. I've also got a few bits from other travel collections. I just keep all my travel collections together. And I'm just having a play at the moment. I wasn't quite sure where I was going to go with embellishing this. And it was when I pulled this frame out, I remembered that I had actually pulled out a piece from one of the papers. I cut it out of a pink fresh paper, and it says today is a great day. And because it was our first day of exploring, I thought that would work really nicely with this photo, so I replaced the frame with that. And then I've got that lovely globe piece which I thought would work nicely. And in Ruth's sketch you can see there's a little cluster in the bottom right hand corner, so I just wanted to build that up a bit. So I've grabbed this foam sticker from Simple Stories which says travel is good for the soul, and then I'm just building bits up behind it to create that cluster. I really like this washi tape sticker. My lovely friend Julie Doyle gave me a bit of her, gosh, I've forgotten what the collection was called. It was the previous travel collection from 49er Market, and they had these lovely washi stickers in it. So she gave me some because you get so many on a roll. She's very good at sharing her stash, which I appreciate. And then that tag is another one from, I think it's Where to Next, for Simple Stories. And I just thought that would work nicely as a grounding piece for the whole cluster there. So just getting that washi sticker on straight, and it says let's go. And then I'm going to stick some of these other bits down before I continue embellishing and get too carried away. So I've got that card down. I'm still messing with the globe a little bit, trying to decide what else to add to that cluster. That tag comes back in again and then goes away. And I like this little book plate piece, but I didn't want to cover up the photo at all, so I brought it down to this bottom cluster, and it just says take the scenic route. So that works nicely there. Just remembering to ruffle up the edges on this tag, because I've done that with all those strips. I wanted continuity, so I wanted to do it to that tag as well. Now consider using this geotag, but it doesn't make it in the end. So I start looking through the Simple Stories sticker book, and I find this lovely coffee cup which I think will work nicely. Amelia and I had a coffee from Starbucks for our breakfast, so it's just a memory of that part of the day. So sticking that globe down now. I thought about putting it to the right, but I didn't like the way everything stepped down, so I thought on the left, and then I can build up the rest of the cluster. So still messing with that geotag, but it's just too big. So I'll see what else there is in the sticker book to add instead. I find this tab, which I'm going to add to the top of the page just to build up the cluster a little bit up there. Just looking to see what else I can find. There's this little geotag, which I add to the right of that globe. I think that works nicely. And then this little word that just says go, and so I add that next to that geotag as well. Now a little tab at the top, and I think this is what I'm going to have my date on initially, but in fact I find another piece from the ephemera pack that I've been using, so I use that instead. Another word sticker that says this way to fun, which works really nicely up there. Like I say, this was the start of our day, so it's just sort of setting the scene really for the rest of the layouts that are going to go on this day in our album. And then going back into these lovely washi stickers. So first of all, there's this little butterfly that's made from a map. So I'm just going to add that to that card. And then a geotag, which is going to overlap that notebook paper at the bottom. And then this little bulldog clip. I put the green up there and regretted it almost instantly, but these washi stickers are really quite strong. Once they're stuck, they're stuck. And because it's on one of those wafer thin Simple Stories stickers, if I pulled it up, I'd be worried that I would pull the sticker up. So you'll see in a minute. I am able to pull this piece up because it's straight on the cardstock, so that goes down to the bottom. Just a little compass, and there's another compass that I've added to that cluster there. And then I just end up adding a blue bulldog clip over the top of the green one. And you'd never know. You see there, I tried to pull it and then thought better of it. So now these lovely circular pieces, and there's one that says on our way. And because, as I keep saying, this is the start of the day, I thought that would work really nicely. Adding some ribbon to my tag. This is just some seam binding I'm going to add, and I'll add some glue behind it just to keep it in place, but not a solid line of glue. I just add dots and stick it into certain places. So there's that other tab that I add to the top of the photo, and then I'll stamp my date straight onto that. You can see I brought some scrap card out thinking I was going to stamp it on there, but then I spotted that and thought that would be nice. So just using my archival ink and my roller date stamp to add that. And I'll get that glued down, overlapping that craft card. And the craft one is from my EK Success tab punch. So adding the glue behind these ribbons. And you can see how you can just scrunch them up and add dots behind, and it really holds it beautifully in place but still makes it look like it's got some movement on the page. And it's a great ribbon to manipulate into the shape you want it as well. So once that's done, I just want to add some ink splats. So I'm going to use one of the brand new stamps in Hey Little Magpie. This is the Coffee Ring stamp, and I'm using it with Lost Shadow, Tim Holtz Distress ink, and it just provides a little bit of interest to the background. As I say, this was a rainy, misty, foggy day, so these splats work really nicely to emulate that. So just adding a few with a few of the different shapes around the page. I think I do bring the stamp set in at one point because I'd left it off screen, and I really should have brought that in to show you what it looks like. So as I think it's here as I swap the stamp. Yes, there you go. So it's a really lovely stamp set. We've got 5 new stamp sets in Hey Little Magpie, so do check them out if you get a chance. So almost there with the stamping, and then I'm going to come in with my journaling, and that will be the layout done. So do check the description box down below. I'll link up the shop, and I'll also link up the playlist of everybody else playing it along on this monthly challenge. And I will link Ruth's social media down below. I think she's just on Instagram. She's a great scrapbooker. It's well worth checking her out and give her some love for this fabulous sketch, and check out the playlist to see what everybody else has done with it. So after I added those ink splats with my stamps, I'm just adding a few more dots with some watered down ink just to blend that all together. So here I am with my journaling, just using my T-square ruler and adding some faint pencil lines, and then I'll edit it on. And that's the layout done. Thank you so much for joining me. I shall see you again very soon. Bye.